you Nikki said something very powerful about decolonizing the mind. And so this is a word that I've heard a lot, right?
Mhm.
So there's many layers to this sentence.
Yes.
Um, but let's take the approach of the angle of the topic we're touching on right now. Develop a little bit more what it means to you and your understanding, decolonizing the mind of, I guess, both, women and men when it comes to this topic.
Mm. Uh, well, for me, the first thing is to understand that we can transcend duality, and that there's not one type of man and there's not one type of woman, and that there are many genders in between, including very physical intersexed people that are born with different types of organs. So when we could
Mm.
absolutely, meaning like you can be born with a penis and have a full uterus,
Mhm.
um, or you
Yes.
could, yeah, exactly. So the first thing is to understand, and this is the exact same thing when we're talking about masturbating in only one way, the idea that this is the only thing that exists,
Hmm.
when we're infinite and we're able to access so many different things. So when I think of decolonizing the mind, I can recognize that, even if you just want to take it as simple as in our childhood, we can look at something and there's not an immediate there is not an immediate opinion or judgment or perspective, but we are allowing ourselves to experience whatever the thing is and then decide by way of what we are feeling and what our body's experience is.
Hmm.
So, but when I mentioned social coercion, or when I mentioned manufactured consent, or even previous to that, even as the first century,
Hmm.
doctors who are primarily male, white male in particular,
Hmm.
thought that the womb was something that moved around in the body, and you had to appease it by masturbating it or getting it pregnant. So you got to understand that
Wow.
for many, many generations, even when we talk about women finding their freedom, okay, or when we're
Hmm.
talking about, or when we're talking about just connecting to one another on a very basic level, we have to recognize that these are memories in our DNA. This is in our epigenetics. Especially melanated people in the last 500 years who
Mhm.
have been who became assets
Hmm.
and had to fight other animals for their foods, and their children put up against pigs. So
Mm.
what we're talking about is decolonizing. We're talking about removing and opening up whatever those limiting aspects that we're holding, and
So
allow ourselves to
limiting
open
beliefs as well, right? I guess limiting beliefs.
limiting
Would it-
beliefs, yes. And
Yes.
sometimes we don't know what we believe until it slaps us in the face. You don't get I could call you a bear and you're like, a bear, that's weird. I could call you a bitch and you're like, whoa, I'm a
Well,
bitch, and you're
hello.
ready to fight, right?
Hi.
So there was a part of you that consented, that
Mhm.
said, I am a bitch.
Mhm.
Why? You can now have the response energy to say, I'm going to respond in this way to be upset because you just said that I'm a bitch. Meanwhile, you
Mm.
didn't care if I called you a bear. So where is the
Mm.
source value of your perception is the question.
True, I get it.
Right. and
And
and then that's what also brings in that orgasm conversation, and also the work that Nikki does,
Mhm.
because
mm-hmm.
what orgasm does, it shuts down the prefrontal cortex, that identity piece,
Mm.
that habitual identity that you have, and it allows you to access your infinite. So when your
Mm-hmm.
body is going through this bliss and this pleasure and this, it is a reconciling between your infinites and your perceived limitations. And so one of the things that I love Adara has been able to do is utilize this same kind of energy to tap into telekinesis. So she uses that energy to move physical objects. I use this work to move trauma out the body and recall primordial memory. We all do. And then Nikki Monty,
Oh,
it's funny you
Marty.
call my name, Nikki, and Nikki
That's
Monty
right.
Nicki Monty uses these amazing tools back here, these gifts, these beings to vibrate and bring the cellular structure back to its original primordial way of being.
It's awesome.
Yes, and this is proven in so many different ways, including the work of Dr. Emoto, who shows that when you project a certain kind of energy, it changes the cellular structure of water, and these bodies are made more than 70% of water. So, Nicki Monty brings it home, and it's in her own orgasmic way as well.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. I'm well aware that Sister Nicki Monty definitely has quite the knowledge when it comes to that. She's shared with me some of her experience, and I've been really blessed to share her journey through and through, and it's amazing to see the work that you ladies are doing, and very important because I think that it taps beyond just the concept of the limited idea of what sex is, because it's not about sex. It really is about you as a human being, first and foremost. Nicki Monty.
Yes, sir.
I'd like oh shit, she just called me sir. Oh shit.
Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. I have to hop off. I have to get my kids from downstairs. I'm sorry.
No, please, Adara, sister Adara, you can hop in whenever you want. We're here for, I don't know how long the show still is gonna last for, but minimum 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So hop back in, and you I'll bring you back into the conversation. No biggie.
Thank you. And if I can't make it, I love being here.
It was a pleasure, and I will definitely make sure that we have you again on the show, because there's definitely lots to speak on. So if you're able to come back, please do. But otherwise, we'll have you back on the show for sure.
All right, ladies. See you all momentarily.
All right.
Babies, I said hey.
I shall. They're running them up.
So beautiful.
All right.
So beautiful.
I love her.
Yo, man, such a vibe, and such an important knowledge that you ladies are willing to share with us. So yeah, Nicki Monty, I was asking you last week, as per a friend of mine who was asking me, what are some of the ritualistic ways, to cleanse one's womb, vagina, energy, whatever, from past sexual interactions, past partners, as she's willing to step into her power, she's willing to step into a new version of herself. And you were like, hold that thought and let's have this conversation tonight. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So I guess this question is for both of you ladies, but yeah, I want to start with you, Nicki Monty.
Yeah. So what has supported me? The main thing is, well, when 2020 came, we all had to look at ourselves, right? So we had to submit to certain aspects of ourselves when the mirror was put up, and the mirror was put up in front of me, and I was noticing and understanding there are certain things that are still sitting with me that are preventing me from having a healthy relationship with my family. I want to heal, but I'm having stagnation. My mother, my sister, we're all experiencing the same thing at the same time. So I said, okay, what is something that's going on? And I went into a medicine session, and the medicine that I utilized was psilocybin, which is a mushroom. And they started speaking to me, and there's things that can be cleansed out through all kinds of ways. There's more than one way to skin a cat. But the way that assisted me and got me to really having an understanding is first understanding myself, understanding that I chose my journey, that all of these things are lessons, and that if I want to cleanse myself, all I have to do is accept my purpose, accept my mission, and move forward. And the traumas that were lying in there, all I had to do was just take my time with myself and express it out by, there were so many things that I did, but the main thing was tapping into my ancestors, going into states of recall. And I had to actually force myself to relive certain things to understand this is how it happened. this wasn't a joke, this wasn't a lie, and this is how it processed in my emotional body. This is how it processed in my physical body. And then when I recognized that this is something that happened for me to grow into the person that I am today, I became more aware of the state of acceptance. So all the experiences I had, it didn't matter whether I enjoyed it or not. The thing is that I accepted it, and that I understood that it didn't make me any less of a woman, any less of a person, and that I can utilize these experiences to empower myself and to assist others because I was afforded the opportunity to have this learning. And that's
Okay.
when I started to understand now my womb is still, even though I accept, my womb is still vibrating at a certain frequency and attracting specific type of circumstances and situations. I said, oh shit, I don't want this anymore. So I started, I did some, what do you call it? Exercises. I started doing exercises, specific type of yoga movements and postures that would open up my hips. And then I would start crying and purging. And I say, why am I doing this? I'm moving my hips. Dancing is so important. Movement of the body is so important. And when you start to move, then you start to feel these things happen. And then I would put myself in these positions, and I would start to release emotionally, and I would start to release from my heart, and I would cry. And then spirit started saying, use your tears as a cleanse for your face. Don't let anything escape from you. Allow these things to process through your body. So I had to go into a state of acceptance of my processing, and I allowed myself to move through my healing the way that I knew that my body needed to do it. I couldn't follow any type of protocol. I couldn't follow anything. I had to listen to spirit. So you already know I'm tapped into my ancestors. You already know that I work with Orisha. But also
100%.
when going on my journey, then I started working with these galactic, higher vibrating ancient ancestors, ancient ones, ascended masters, and all these different things, because I knew that once I decided to step into my healing journey, there's going to be so much more that I needed to do. And then I started to download information that was for me, because everybody has their program. Everybody has their vibration and their frequency that
Yeah.
they come here with and they walk with. And it's their choice to choose if they want to ascend higher, if they want to stay in this physical state that they're in and not embody their true self, their true primordial self. Because there's so many things that have happened on this plane where we're being locked into these states of consciousness that were programs. Let's say, for example, Edward Bernays, he wrote the perfect protocol for propaganda and to brainwash us. And then in this country, there's so many other things that came before that that assisted in the enslavement of certain melanated people's minds. So there's so much programming that's going on. And once I started to realize everything that I've experienced is a part of someone else's program and not my own, then I started to free myself. And that's when my womb started to free itself. So things became easier to manifest. I started to manifest better relationships. Nikki came into my life. Adara came into my life. Casey came into my life. My mother started her healing work, and she's doing medicine, and she's not depending on the medical system to assist her in her growth and development of her mental state, because she's had trauma. And the same with my sister, and our children are healing because we passed on traumas to our children because we didn't know or identify how to heal our own selves. No one taught us or gave us a blueprint, and our ancestors just had to survive. They didn't have the opportunity to thrive. And because I can tap into my ancestors and ask them specific questions, because they are me, I am them, they are in my DNA, and it's all of their messages, all of their experiences. So they can assist me in my movements so that I don't have to relive these traumas anymore. So I literally broke the program. I literally broke the program. And what has been the master in breaking that program was sound. And we all know how important sound is as well. So movements, my diet changed completely, owning my shit, not having any fear, admitting when I'm having an issue with myself and allowing myself to vocalize that, to allow people to understand, like, hey, I'm still moving through this, even though I'm a spiritual person, even though I'm having spiritual experiences and my soul is calling for things. I still identify as a person living here having experiences. So I don't walk in fear. I share. I want to gather as much information as I can so I can support my family and others. And the sound and the frequencies of me exuding this because my soul is calling for it. It's just a frequency. So once you put that ping out, or you put that information out there, or you exude that energy, the healing is going to come back to you. There's so many ways. There's so many ways. There's not a right way, but you just have to listen to your body. Your cells are calling for it. Your ancestors are calling for it. Your children, your friends and comrades, they're all calling for all of us to do our healing work. And that's why we're actually doing this interdimensional journey, so that we can start assisting people, because there's a spirit within inside everyone that's lying dormant because of programming. And there's no need to have to do that anymore. There's so many ways. There's medicine by way of sound, by way of plants, by way of hugs, food, everything, sun, water, animals. There's so many different layers to it. So what I suggest to women who want to work on that space within themselves, listen to your body. Ask your own self, what do you need for this healing? And a lot of times it's going to just direct you in your way. If you just get out of your own way and submit, that's when things become very powerful.
So, very important. That what you just said is very, very important. That's what I wanted to get to, but I want to get you to go even deeper, because I think that we touched deeply enough, but let's elaborate. Maybe the two of you ladies can elaborate more on the points that are put down here. So you said something about releasing the self.
Yes.
Can you emphasize a little bit more on what it means and what form it can potentially take, even though from one person to another it can be manifested in different ways? But what do you mean by releasing the self, releasing yourself?
Okay, so I was identifying as something that I wasn't, right?
Develop that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so music producer, DJ, yes, I'm that, but I'm so much more. I was limiting myself by calling myself a music producer and a DJ. I can't even go any deeper into that. We put these titles on ourselves as limitations.
Okay, I get it.
So and then when you're dealing with the true essence of yourself, and you start to understand how old your spirit is,
you're removing the etiquette basically that you've laid upon yourself.
Exactly. So and the medicine has helped me a lot with that, but also to be able to sit with myself. I'm no longer serving in a job, just over broke. I'm actually serving now my community. I'm assisting my comrades and my allies, my friends, in the work that they do. And we're exchanging energy, and we're continuing to raise our frequency so that we can continue to tap into these primordial energies that are ourselves, because we're not here because we're here to do work for other people. We're here to work with each other so that we can master what we're doing, so we can assist with the knowledge and information that we're attaining. This is to share with the world. This is not for us, because we're all, like I learned today, we're all together. We're all everything and nothing at the same time. We're a part of this magnificent pool of energy and knowledge and information that is source, and everything else that comes from that is just layers of existence, layers of gods, layers of deities that came here to assist in the creation and the manifestation of what we're experiencing today. So I can go on and on, Boddhi.
But hold on. So there's I know you can go on and on, but I'm not done with you. We're here for that. We all for
But I also wanted
go ahead.
to say one more thing. A wonderful sister friend of mine named Onika Long just walked in here, and she is a womb healing specialist.
Oh, here you go.
We got
more
what I'm
healers in the room.
saying.
Come on. Bring Onika to the conversation.